and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them, and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Text 30. The foolish, with a poor fund of knowledge, can know the transcendental nature of the forms, names, and activities of the Lord, who is playing like an actor in a drama. Nor can they express such things neither in their speculations nor in their words. Text 38. Only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service onto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot, can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and transcendence. Text 39. Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantee cent% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. Text 40. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Text 41. Sri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Text 42. Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. Text 43. This Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have... Okay, Maharaj. कृष्णे स्वधामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्टदृशामेष पुराणा को अधुनोदितः. This Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Puran. Text 44. O learned Brahmanas, when Shukadeva Goswami recited Bhagavatam, there in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus by his mercy I learned the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Thus end the Bhaktivinoda purport of the first and the third chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Chapter 4. The appearance of Sri Radha. On hearing Shuta Goswami speak thus, Shaunak Muni, who was the elderly learned leader of all the rishis, engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Shuta Goswami by addressing him as follows. Text 2. Shaunaka said, O Shuta Goswami, you are the most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Shukadeva Goswami. Text 3. In what period and at what place was this first begun, and why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvapayana Vyas, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? Text 4. His Vyasadeva's son was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist, whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. Text 5. While Srila Vyasdev was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth, although Sri Vyasdev himself was not naked. But they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified and when looking at them made no distinction between male and female. But the sage made such distinctions. Text 6. How was he, Srila Sukadev, the son of Vyasa, recognized by the citizens when he entered the city of Hastinapur, now Delhi, after wandering in the provinces of Kuru and Jangal, appearing like a madman, dumb and retarded? Text 7. How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? Text 8. He, Shukadev Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the residence. Text 9. It is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. Text 10. He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed inseparable kingly opulences. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? Text 12. Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was shelter for others? Text 13. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Text 14. Shuddha Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vyasadev was born to Parashar in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu. Text 15. Once upon a time, he, Vyasadev, as the sun rose, took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate. Text 16. The great sage Vyasadeva, once upon a time, Vyasadeva, as the sun rose, took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate. Text 16. The great sage Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to unseen forces in the course of time. Text 17 and 18. The great sage, who was fully equipped in knowledge, could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus, he contemplated for the welfare of men in all statuses and orders of life. Text 19. He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into four in order to expand them among men. Text 20. The four divisions of the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately. but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the fifth Veda. Text 21. After the Vedas were divided into four divisions, Paila Rishi became the professor of the Rig Veda, Jamini the professor of the Samved, and Vaishampayan alone became glorified by the Yajurved. Text 22. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda, and my father, Romharshan, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records. Text 23. All these learned scholars, in their turn, rendered their entrusted Vedas onto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Text 24. Thus, the great sage Vyasadeva, who is very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men. Text 25. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable man to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled a great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. Text 26. O twice born Brahmanas, still his mind was not satisfied. Although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people. Text 27. Thus the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect, because he knew the sense of religion, and he said within himself. Text 28 and 29. I have, under strict disciplinary vows, unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas, the spiritual master, and the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Shudras, and others.
What is the time?
6:3 Maharaj. 6:15. Through the explanation of the Mahabharata, by which even women, Shudras, and others, friends of the twice born, can see the path of religion. Text 30. I am feeling incomplete, though I myself am fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas. Text 31. This may be because I did not specifically pointed out a devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. Text 32. As mentioned before, Narada reached the cottage of Krishna Dvaipayan Vyas on the banks of Saraswati, just as Vyasadeva was regretting his defect. Text 33. At the auspicious arrival of Sri Narada, Sri Vyasadeva got up respectfully and worshipped him, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji, the creator. Thus ends the bhakti on the purpose of the first and the fourth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Appearance of Sri Narada. Chapter 5. Narada's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Sutta Goswami said, thus the sage amongst the gods Narada, comfortably seated and apparently smiling, addressed the rishis among the Brahmanas, Vyasadeva. Text 2. Addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashar, Narada required, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization? Text 3. Your inquiries were full and your studies were also well fulfilled. And there is no doubt that you have prepared a great and wonderful work, the Mahabharata, which is full of all kinds of Vedic sequences elaborately explained. Text 4. You have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? Text 5. Shri Vyasadeva said, you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite all this, I am not pacified. I therefore caution you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. For you are a man of unlimited knowledge, due to your being the offsprings of one Brahma, who is self-born, without mundane father and mother. Text 6. My Lord, everything that is mysterious is known to you because you worship the creator and destroyer of the material world and the maintainer of the spiritual world, the original personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Text 7. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds, and like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive Supersoul. Please therefore find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. Text 8. Sri Narada said, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Text 9. Although, great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with religious performances. You have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality Vasudeva. Although, great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles beginning with religious performances. You have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality Vasudeva. Text 10. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Text 11. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Text 12. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Text 13. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness, and thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. Text 14. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts to the different forms, names and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Text 15. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable, because they are guided under your instructions. They will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. Text 16. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the way of transcendental realization by your goodness, through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Text 17. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Text 18. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmlok down to the lowest planet Patal. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. 20. The Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is Himself this cosmos, and still He is aloof from it. From Him only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In Him it rests, and unto Him it enters after annihilation. Your good self knows all about this. I have given only a synopsis. 21. Text 21. Your goodness has perfect vision. You yourself can know the super soul personality of Godhead because you are present as a plenary portion of the Lord. Although you are birthless, you have appeared on this earth for the well-being of all people. Please, therefore, describe the transcendental past tense of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, more vividly. Text 22. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Text 23. O Muni, in the last millennium I was born as a son of a certain maid servant engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. Text 24. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty and I did not speak more than required. Text 25. Once only, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, by being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Text 26. O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of the Lord Krishna. And thus listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step. O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step. Text 27. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings for both the Lord and I are transcendental. Text 28. Thus, during 2 seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear These great souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Text 29. I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. Text 30. As they were leaving, those Bhakti Vedantas who were kind to poor hearted souls, who were very kind to poor hearted souls, instructed me in that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of Godhead Himself. Text 31. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Shri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. Text 32. O Brahman Vyasdev, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Text 33. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Text 34. Text 34. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. Text 35. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service of the Lord, to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor.
अब ये बैठ के बाद कह रहे हैं भागवतम पढ़ रहे हैं ना, आप सुनो। हाँ
Text 36. While performing duties according to the order of Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers him, his names and his qualities. Text 37. Let us all chant the glories of Vasudeva along with his plenary expansions Pradyumna, Anirudh and Sankarshana. Text 38. Thus, he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sound representation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who has no material form. Text 39. O Brahmana, thus by the Supreme Lord Krishna, I was endowed first with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, as inculcated in the confidential parts of the Vedas, then with the spiritual opulences, and then with his intimate loving service. Text 40. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankering of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pains. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Thus ends the document the purport of the first canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Narada's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Chapter 6. Conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva. Shuta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasdev, the incarnation of God and the son of Satyavati, inquired as follows. Sri Vyasdeva said, what did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? Text 3. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation? And how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? Text 4. O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter, which happened prior to this day of Brahma, is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? Text 5. Sri Narada said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. Text 6. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman, but a maid servant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bounded me with a tie of affection. Text 7. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Text 8. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Text 9. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by supreme time. Text 10. I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benedictions for his devotees, and so thinking, I started for the north. Text 11. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flowers, gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. Text 12. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through the tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. Text 13. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboos, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. Text 14. Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river lake and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. Text 15. After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree, in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the super soul situated within, using my intelligence as I had learned it from liberated souls. Okay, brother. Before going there?
शादी मतलब मेरी
महाराज कब जाएंगे? कब जाएंगे? जाने से पहले बोले
यही तो पहले हुआ ना I went to the marriage ना
पैसे होता
मतलब अभी फर्स्ट हाफ में सेकंड हाफ में बारह बजे से पहले ना तो प्रशांत
Machine के
ये कपूर खोल के बैग निकाल इसको उसमें बैग है ठीक नहीं था उसने दौरा नहीं देखे थे वैसा नहीं वो बहुत मोटा मोटा कैसे करे हुए हैं थोड़ी सी इसमें कर दो ठीक है बड़ा टॉवल छोटा छोटा टॉवल मंजरी वाला कुछ है इधर मंजरी वाला अपनी मंजरी अभी नहीं कुछ मंजरी वाला है ठीक है आगे से लेवल होना चाहिए परफॉर्मेंस इसमें डायग्नोस्टिक है जस्ट वाट्सएप में ये वाला सब का उसमें पानी वो गिलास है उसमें उसमें पानी उसी
पानी गर्म था, हल्का गर्म था, ठंडा पानी
हल्का गरम देते हैं यहाँ पे लड्डू था
लेकिन इस पे कोई प्रसाद रखते हैं ये तो ऑफर होता है महाप्रसाद का भोग लगा होता है लड्डू जो
इसको लेंगे वो वहाँ पे प्रसाद उधर से हटा कोई माता जी कोई लड्डू देते गए थे लेकिन
ये ऑफर होता है ये जो है ये ऑफर
नहीं तो बोले थे डब्बा जो है यहाँ का जी इतना छोटा दे
बड़ा मैं देख पीवीटी खोलेगा तो मैं आपको दे देखो ये लो है ठीक है पहले करो ये ठीक है
डीप था ना भाई, ये वो डीप था, स्टेशन है वो ऊपर से होता है ना, डीप हो लेकिन वो नहीं हो रहा है, तो वो उसका साफ कर रहे हैं। नहीं नहीं मुझे कुछ है अंदर, ठीक फर्स्ट टाइम ठीक है, तो ठीक है, ठीक हो गया।